Welcome back, Caddy Corner, episode 40. I'm Austin.
I'm Caleb.
And we are back yet again on two separate cameras with microphones on our faces.
Running the two-cam show.
And with our cool mugs. They'll be on every podcast for the rest of ever. So, get used to them, boys.
That's what I'm talking about.
This is part of yet another tag team two-part series.
It is.
Back to normal with only audio on the Wednesday and then video and audio on Friday. We are doing a New Year's kind of vibe pair of podcasts this week. The one that you listened to 2 days ago was 2022 recapped. We have not yet recorded that episode, so hopefully we did good. And right now we are recording our 2023 goals, and we know we're going to do good for that one because we're already here.
Yep.
So make sure to like and subscribe and rate and review the show. If you're new, thanks for being here. If you watched our Christmas special, thanks so much. You've got a couple of days left to watch it. Otherwise, it's going to become kind of corny. So I'd recommend watching it if you haven't already. Otherwise, you can just wait until next Christmas, and you're not going to hurt my feelings if you want to do that. But seriously, though, Christmas special did really, really well. Shout out to you guys that watched Christmas special.
Yeah, you guys killed it.
Without further ado, I already said like and everything. Cool. Caleb, I'll let you take it away, man.
Okay. 2023 is right around the corner.
Literally.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
This is so crazy how fast this year has gone by.
I'm glad that you feel the same way.
It feels like it just started.
Yeah.
And thinking about it real deeply always throws me off every time.
Really?
Yeah, the older I get, the faster the years go by, and the more I look back and I'm like, this went by so fast, you know? And every time I sit back and think about it, it always just throws my perception of time way off, which is crazy. But goals. We have goals for this year.
At least you should at this
If
point.
you don't, then you need to get going on those.
Yes.
Unless you just don't have any aspirations, and
True.
then this probably isn't the show for you, but
Good point.
stay tuned because maybe we'll inspire you.
Maybe.
Yeah, you never know.
Never know.
I'll go ahead and start, I guess, with my first goal, and that is to finish RCCC strong, which some of you may not know. I go to a college that is called RCCC, and that stands for Rowan Cabarrus Community College, and that is where I'm enrolled as of right this second, and I am coming up on my last semester there, which is crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure that is like a nuts feeling for you.
Yeah, so I'm going to graduate with my associate's degree in arts because that is the transfer program at RCCC, and I'm going to transfer out to another school after I graduate. And so you get an associate's degree in arts or an associate's degree in science, I believe. You could choose either one of those for the transfer program because I'm not an arts major, but technically
Not a science major either.
I am more of an arts major than a science major.
Definitely.
So, yeah, this is coming up on the final semester at RCCC before I graduate, which is absolutely insane because it feels like I just started, dude.
Yeah, it does. It feels like I just started college too.
And we've been here for 2 years.
Yeah.
It blows my mind
Yeah.
because this goes by so much faster than high school did, I think.
Yeah. No, it does. It totally does. Literally so much different. It's crazy. Like,
So,
rapid pace college. I wonder why
Yeah.
that is.
I don't know. I guess
feel-
it's just because you do more,
I also
maybe.
think it's because it's shorter in general.
Possibly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I guess it's totally because you don't go to the same classes every day. So, like, your weeks look the same, but your days never look the
And
same.
I'm on campus for 3 hours
Right.
in comparison to however long.
7.
Yeah.
You should be 7, I think.
7 or 6 or 8. I don't know, but a lot more than 3.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. Shout out to school.
Yeah, finish RCCC strong in 2023.
Bada bing, bada boom. The first one that I have written down is about the podcast. I assume that you have one about the podcast as well.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about. Let's do that one last. Are you cool doing that one last?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the first kind of goal that I have written down here is I want to diversify and build more content streams personally. So what does that mean? It means making something other than a podcast every week. like YouTube videos or like TikToks or something like that, and figuring out cool ways to do that more often, because that will help grow the podcast and also grow something else, and it lets me do something that I really like doing, which is making stuff.
Yeah.
So that is probably goal number 1, is to do that. I've already started thinking about some different kind of mediums and strategies that I would go into that with, that I will talk about at a later date because none of them are real yet. But that is probably goal number 1 for 2023, is do something else at the same level that I'm doing this at by the end of the year next year. And do it dope. That's the vibes.
I dig it.
Yeah.
That's a good one. So my next one is another, I guess, self-improvement one, and it is to build a better budget. So we're in college, and college kids are broke.
Yeah.
And I understand that I'm going to struggle with money. I get it. I don't make a lot, so keeping money, saving money is not an easy task. But what I have thought is that if I can get good at budgeting money while I have little, whenever I have more, it'll come so much easier.
Fair enough.
So I want to start building a better budget, because I was thinking, in 2022, which is part of the last episode, but I'm going to say something about it here. I worked the whole year. And my mother asked me the other day, "What do you have to show for all your work?"
What a question.
Yeah. What do you have to show? And I couldn't answer the question.
Yeah. That is
because,
a great question.
Because I don't have anything to show.
Mm-hmm.
I started the year out with more money in my savings account than I ended the year with.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
Yeah, but that happens.
Because, I made plenty of money,
Yeah.
And so I definitely need to work on budgeting my money, because that is a very good thing to know how to do in the future.
That's such a good question that your mom asked you.
Yeah, it's so good, right?
Yeah, dude, that would have took me like half an hour to answer.
It's so good. The only thing that I could say off the top of my head was the guitar hanging on my wall.
Yeah.
That's the only thing
that you bought that is like physical.
That is an investment.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of my money I spent on like whatever, eating out, buying gifts for Christmas, all the stuff
that you have to buy. Yeah.
Just maybe a T-shirt every now and then.
Yeah.
But like actually investments, dude,
hardly any.
One.
The podcast too.
Right.
But
yeah.
that was anyway. But still,
Yeah.
interesting. That's such a good question that your mom asked you. Dang.
Mm-hmm.
Murdered it.
Yeah.
Your budget. My second kind of goal is to collaborate more across everything. When it comes to school, I've always been kind of the like lone wolf vibe, doing everything by myself. We do this podcast, which is me working with you, but it isn't really like, I don't know. It's not the same as like collaborating with people outside of like our bubble, because we have the same brain, and we've done this for 40 weeks now, so we kind of know how this whole kind of vibe works. I've talked about it before on other podcasts, but getting a new set of eyeballs on, even just like the podcast or whatever, always helps a ton, because there are things that they will say that will make you think like, maybe I need to work on something in this area that I'm not thinking about yet or whatever. I know that I at least have had those moments with every single guest that we've ever had on the podcast. That doesn't necessarily just mean have guests on the podcast, because duh, but it also means like whenever I talked about like building new content streams, like collaborating there, like if you work in groups as a student, like actually collaborating and learning what other people know and bringing that into your own life. I think that that's important, and I don't do it enough. I've always been really bad at that, but I want to try and put a lot of effort into collaborating more in 2023.
Yeah, that is not an easy thing to do.
I'm very introverted too.
Yeah.
I always have been. So.
It's very scary because, you have the ego. Like, I created something that I believe is good. And sometimes whenever you show that to somebody who is not yourself, or like somebody who you work closely with, then they could totally be like, this is no good.
Yeah.
And so that could be hard to hear. I
think for me, it's always been, I'm really bad at relinquishing the control
Yeah.
of the execution of whatever it is. I would rather it take me 2 weeks to do it than do it like take me 1 week with help, because I know that it will be done the way that I want it to be done,
Yeah.
for better or for worse. But
Yeah, I do. I understand that.
that's always been me. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna try my best to get out of that little hole.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. So my next goal for 2023 is I want to explore, I guess, kind of the exact same as your second or first goal.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to explore creating in different quantums than, is that a word?
Yes, but I don't know if it's the right word. When I hear quantums, I immediately thought of Ant-Man. Immediately.
Yeah, but isn't that talking about like different universes?
Yeah.
Dude.
No, it's not. I don't think, but it is. I understand what you're saying.
Well, I'm gonna keep going with that anyway.
Sure.
I'm going to explore creating in different quantums than I am right now. And one of those ways of creating that I want to explore the most, I think, is musically.
Turn up.
And I don't really know why I want to. It doesn't really make any sense to me why I want to make music, but I do. And I feel like I have the equipment and the skill to be able to, and kind of like, why not? Kind of like the same thing
as this
a
year ago, yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
And so that is one thing that I want to get into. And I have no idea what that looks like yet because I have not done enough research at all. But it is definitely something that I'm interested in. And by the end of 2023, I definitely want to have gotten my foot in the door in that kind of world, you know? And so whatever that looks like, who knows yet?
Yeah, nobody.
But that's on the list.
That'll be gas. I wish I had a piece of advice as far as how you could do that.
Yeah, because I have no idea, and I have nobody who even does any of that type of stuff.
I think you have to look into the social media side of it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Turn to TikTok. TikTok knows all.
That's the only way.
That's a good way to get your foot in the door. That's for
yeah,
sure.
I guess it's not the only way,
where
but it is a good way.
It's where the eyeballs are.
That is true.
So it's where the eyeballs will probably continue to be for the foreseeable future. Okay, this is my last one before the podcast.
Okay.
So I don't know what you have left, but this is my last one before the podcast. I talked about it in the last episode, but we haven't talked about it yet, but I'll talk about it a bit here. 2022 for me was spent a lot kind of taking account of my life before and kind of tightening it up and making myself more productive and organized and smart and efficient and blah, blah, blah. All the other kind of mumbo-jumbo that exists when it comes to somebody who's actively chasing after big dreams and goals. So for 2023, the goal is to just continue to do that even higher at an even higher level. 1 year is definitely not enough time to make yourself like the best human being on planet Earth, which is, kind of is the goal. It should be for everybody, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But, just doing the same things that I was doing in 2022, doing them a step better, and really just like elevating to like another level of just efficient and productive and educated and stuff like that. I think that's important. And I think that being able to acknowledge that after working for a year on something and knowing that like I haven't really even like scratched the surface in that world, I think that's a good sign that I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that I'm on like the right track with that.
Yeah.
Again, that's like very broad. I don't have like any specific things that I'm working on for that yet because I don't really know the answers to those yet.
Mm-hmm.
But just continuing to build good habits and polish up the stuff that I already do, make myself more efficient and dope is the goal.
Yeah, that is literally exactly what I have written down. With the way I have it worded in my notes is stay committed to myself.
Bada bing.
Basically, that just means that the things that I'm doing right now that I think are good things to be doing, I want to go into the next year and do them, but even better, just like you said, because self-improvement is all about self-improvement. So you have to improve the improvements,
Yeah.
To be able to get to where you want to go, wherever that is, because, it's like you can look out into the world and not even see anything. It could just be black, but you always have to keep working towards the things, even if you don't know what you want to do. Luckily, we do. We know what we're working towards. It's kind of like what we're working towards,
kind of in front of our
recording
face
this right now.
Literally.
And so it makes it easier for us, but for some people it's not that simple. But you just have to keep doing the things that are good in your life and just keep doing them better, because that's how you get better.
An analogy that I heard for that recently, that I don't remember where, I never know where I hear things at, but I heard this, and it was like, a way to think about that is like there's been 60 generations of the Mustang, like the car.
Yeah.
And every year, presumably, whatever, maybe it's not an incredible analogy, but for the sake of argument, it becomes a better car every year, even though it comes out every year. But because it comes out, because they've made 65 Mustangs, every time that they make a new Mustang, it gets a little better. And every time that they make a special edition or a Shelby or whatever, it gets a little bit better in some kind of way.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a good example of that, is like we're at like generation 1 of our Mustang, which is us.
Yeah.
And then now we're going into generation 2 of our Mustang, or like even like an iPhone is a good example. Like started with the original iPhone with the big stupid forehead and the big stupid chin and the gross home button in the back with the fingerprints and stuff.
Yeah.
And then now we have an iPhone that, can do what an iPhone does today. That's because they have had reps and like time put in. So that was an interesting way of thinking about it.
Yeah, that is very good.
Do you have anything else except for the podcast?
Nope.
All right. We can talk about the podcast for literally months.
Yeah.
What I have written down is elevate and expand the podcast.
Yeah.
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 This is episode 40, which is nuts. 40 episodes straight, have not missed a single main podcast upload. And I can confidently say that we only missed one after hours upload because of unknown technical difficulty that I didn't even know was a real possibility until it happened to us, which was unfortunate. So sorry about that. We've already talked about that before. But goals for 2023 for the podcast is do the podcast even better than we're doing it right now. Collaborate more is the one that I really want to do.
Yeah.
Because I think that is step one for immediate growth of the podcast, is getting some interesting people on here to talk about some interesting stuff. Also, just not get complacent and continue to do, cool stuff. I really like whenever we do series. I think those are really cool.
Yeah.
I think those are helpful for the audience all the time. Continuing to come up with new and fun topics and stuff like that, and just make some cool stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's the goal here.
Yeah. The way that I look at the podcast is the way that I think that inventors look at it, inventions that they make, because kind of like you said with the cars, iPhones, like this is just the first. Like this is just the first generation, So you just have to keep expanding, keep trying new things, and keep getting better and better and bigger, because that's just the way that life is, Everybody strives for greatness, but nobody's great the first time, Michael Jordan got cut from his basketball team, and he's the greatest of all time.
That's for
it's
another
different time, different time. But you know what I'm saying.
I
though.
do. I understand what you're saying. Totally
so,
understand what you're saying.
Totally, just you have to innovate the process and just make it better and better and better, and keep doing different things before you can figure out what works. Because we've done this for 40 weeks, but we've only scratched the surface of what we can do.
Literally,
And so that's the craziest part. And it even blows my mind, but you just have to stay aware of that. And like you said, can't become complacent, because it's super easy to do this every week and be totally okay with just doing it. Just this, just 2 microphones, a soundboard, and 2 iPhone cameras. You can't get complacent with that. You have to keep wanting more. And I think that is something that we are not going to have an issue with, because how could you be complacent with this? Like, how could you not want a bigger soundboard? How could you not want
cooler mics?
How could you not want, some sick cameras and these really fancy, expensive tripods? Yeah. But that's just because we're big on gear,
That's true. That's such a good point.
And not even like gear-wise. Maybe it's like we can innovate the way that we do notes. Maybe we can innovate the way that we record the sound into the technology,
Maybe we can add a teammate.
Maybe, so you never know what can come out of what, because this once was literally just a conversation at a dinner table.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy to think about?
Yeah.
Man, that's such a good point. That's a quote right there. You just crushed that.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think that you murdered that one. I mean, just got to make cooler stuff and keep pushing the envelope forward. I wish I had like an example. I don't have any examples.
No.
Collaborate more. That's step one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think that that's step one. And just make cool stuff. You know what I'm saying? Do something cool every week. Make some people care about listening to. Get new fun eyeballs on the show. Maybe we do something big. I don't know. The Christmas special I feel like was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
It's probably one of the cooler things that we've done as a podcast so far. I don't know. We'll keep doing fun stuff.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's all I've got.
Me too.
All right. 2023 goals. Also, Caddy Corner episode 40. I feel like that's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, 40 episodes. Shout out to us. 40 weeks. Dang, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, I know.
We are going to be doing a 1-year special. What's going to happen? No idea. So stay tuned for that, I guess. Also stay tuned for all the episodes that come before that, because there will be 11 episodes that come out before the 1-year special. So thank you guys so much for watching episode 40 of Caddy Corner and listening to our 2023 goals. Hopefully you guys are going to follow along on the journey for us achieving these goals, and also just follow along on the journey because you like Caleb and I, which is pretty cool if you do. So shout out to you guys.
Yeah.
Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're on the YouTube channel. Make sure to rate and review if you're on the audio platforms. Share the podcast around. It really is cool when you do that because then we get a new set of eyeballs on the podcast, and also they get to listen to a podcast that actively helps them improve their life, which I feel like is dope to do that for another person because you're actively helping someone out. So do it. Share the podcast around. Do it. Thanks so much for listening, watching, viewing, subscribing, all that stuff. I appreciate it a lot. I know Caleb does too. We're going to be consistent through the next year as well. Going to go for 204 episodes straight. Not going to miss an episode for 2 years straight or something like that. But we're going to go from there. But I'm Austin. He's Caleb. We're back every Friday on this show, and we're back every Wednesday for Caddy Corner After Hours. More laid-back, kickback vibes. You already know the deal because you're not discovering us on the audio platforms. And if you are, let us know how you're doing that. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.